Chosen one. Stop right here. Before you scroll one pixel further, I am not using figurative language. I am not building toward a metaphor. What I am about to tell you is something that was literally released into the spiritual realm before this video began playing, and the fact that you are watching it right now is not accidental. It is evidence. The verdict is in. You have been declared the winner. I know that might feel impossible to receive right now. I know your circumstances have not caught up to that declaration yet. I know there are people in your life who would laugh at the idea that you are a winner. People who have watched you struggle, watched you lose, watched you cry and drawn their own conclusions. But they were looking at the wrong courtroom. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes I am going to reveal 7 pieces of evidence that this verdict has already been declared over your life. Evidence that was being compiled while you were in the darkest season you have ever walked through. If you leave before the 7th evidence, you will have the verdict but not the full understanding of what it means for your life going forward. Stay until the end. What is coming will change the way you see yourself. In the early hours before dawn, I was pulled into something I can only describe as a vision. I found myself standing in a courtroom that had no ceiling. The walls stretched upward into clouds of pure radiance, and the floor beneath my feet was transparent, like crystal over deep water. The atmosphere was charged with a weight that was not fear, but something far more consuming than fear. It was the presence of absolute authority. Seated at the bench was not a human judge. It was the Ancient of Days himself. His robes were the white of untouched snow. His throne radiated fire, and around him, beyond counting, angels stood at full attention. Waiting before the bench stood 2 figures. The first was an accuser, sharp-faced, clutching thick files. His voice was a kind of cold venom as he read through the record. Every mistake, every failure, every moment of weakness, every time you chose wrong when you knew better, every wound you caused, every battle you lost, every season you spent face down when you should have been standing. He read all of it aloud, and his argument was simple. This one deserves to lose. The second figure was the defender. His presence was different, not loud, not urgent, not matching the accuser's energy, just still, radiating the kind of authority that does not need to raise its voice, because everything in the room already belongs to it. The defender was Jesus. When he opened his mouth, the room did not just go quiet. The room trembled. He did not argue against the charges point by point. He presented a different kind of evidence entirely. He opened his files and brought forward every prayer spoken at midnight when no one was watching, every moment of faithfulness under unbearable pressure, every act of generosity given from an empty hand, every time hope was chosen when despair was the rational option, every night survived when survival seemed impossible. And then he gave his closing argument. Not your righteousness, not your record, his blood. And the voice of the judge thundered through the courtroom, through the crystal floor, through the walls, through the clouds, and the ruling came. This one is declared the winner, not by their own merit, by the blood of my son. Every accusation dismissed, every curse cancelled, every charge dropped. The accuser's jurisdiction over this life is hereby permanently revoked. Let the record show this chosen one is vindicated, justified, and crowned. That verdict was declared over you, not over a version of you that has everything together, not over a future you who finally earned it. You, right now as you are. Watching this, before we go deeper, type the verdict is in the comments right now. That is not just engagement. That is your agreement with what heaven has declared. It is you telling the accuser, I know what the ruling says, and I receive it. Type it now. Then keep watching, because the 7 evidences are about to reveal exactly how you can see this verdict already manifesting in your life. And before we go into the evidence, subscribe right now and turn on notifications. What comes after this video will show you how to walk in the declared victory. Not just know about it, miss it, and you have the ruling without the roadmap. Subscribe now. It takes 3 seconds and it may change the next season of your life. You did not stumble onto this video. You were directed here because the verdict was just released and heaven wanted you to know about it. I know what the last few years have looked like. I know the silence, the accusations, the waiting with no answer, the prayers that seemed to evaporate before they reached anything. The moments you genuinely considered that maybe you were wrong about everything. About God, about yourself, about whether any of this was real. People watched your struggle and reached their own verdict, losing. They saw the tears and concluded defeated. They witnessed the silence and assumed broken. They were reading the wrong document. The file is complete. The ruling is issued. Let me show you 7 proofs. The first evidence is your suffering, not wasted pain, documented testimony. Psalm 56:8 records a stunning truth. You keep track of all my sorrows, you have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book. Read that again. God keeps a bottle. In it, your tears. The ones you cried alone at 2 in the morning when you were too exhausted to make a sound. The ones you hid behind sunglasses in public because you couldn't explain the grief to anyone. The ones you didn't even fully understand yourself. Those heavy, sourceless tears that came from somewhere deeper than circumstance. None of them were lost. Every single drop was collected, catalogued, and entered as evidence of faithfulness under fire. You thought those seasons were meaningless. You thought enduring in silence meant enduring in vain. You thought the pain that no one witnessed carried no weight. Heaven saw all of it, and it became the strongest part of your case. Think about Joseph. He was 17 years old when his own brothers, the people who were supposed to be his tribe, stripped him of his coat, threw him in a pit, and sold him to slave traders for 20 pieces of silver. He spent years in Egyptian bondage for a crime he did not commit. He was falsely accused by Potiphar's wife and thrown into prison. Forgotten by the cupbearer he had helped, left to rot while his teenage dreams of greatness seemed to mock him from the walls of a dungeon. His tears were not small. His confusion was not a character flaw. His years of silence were not evidence that God had abandoned him. They were the exact testimony that would one day escort him from a prison cell to the second highest throne in Egypt in a single day. The brothers who had sold him came to him with their hands out. The same hands that threw him into a pit reached up to him for rescue. The suffering did not cancel the promise. The suffering became the proof that he was qualified to carry it. Your suffering has done the same. Everything you endured that felt like it was destroying your future was actually constructing your testimony. The people who dismissed you will witness your elevation. The voices that counted you out will go quiet when you rise. Not because you will gloat, because the verdict will be undeniable. The tears that became testimony are evidence 1. Hold on, do not leave. The second evidence reveals something happening around you right now that you may have already noticed, but not known how to interpret. The second evidence is the confusion in your enemies. Something has shifted in the atmosphere around you, and the people who once opposed you are feeling it before you have seen its full manifestation. The confidence they once had against you has evaporated. The boldness they carried when they mocked you or dismissed you has been replaced with something they cannot name, a strange unease, a hesitation, a sense that the ground beneath their position has become unstable. Have you noticed it? The voices that once attacked you freely now seem muted. The people who once celebrated your hardship now seem troubled when they see you. The enemies who once felt entitled to access your peace now seem uncertain whether they have any standing to approach you at all. They feel the verdict before you see its full fruit. God says the ruling declared in the highest court is rippling into the earth. Spiritual jurisdiction is being transferred. What was once assigned against you is being reassigned away from you. Your adversaries are experiencing the consequence of a ruling they were not informed of, but whose effects they cannot escape. Exodus 14:14 carries a word for you right now. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. That is not passive advice. That is a strategic instruction for someone who has already won. You do not need to fight the battles that the verdict has already concluded. You do not need to argue with the accusers whose case has been dismissed. You do not need to defend yourself to rooms that questioned your worth. The verdict is being enforced. Your stillness is not weakness. In this season, your stillness is your most powerful weapon. Heaven is executing the ruling. The enemy's remaining influence over your life is not dissolving because of your effort. It is dissolving because the judgment has been issued, and spiritual law requires compliance. When someone from your past attempts to reassert old power over you and finds that it no longer lands, that is not coincidence. That is the verdict being implemented. The enemies who feel the shift are evidence too. Stay with me. The third evidence is perhaps the most unexpected, because it turns something you have been told to suppress into a divine mandate. The third evidence is the mandatory nature of your joy, not optional, not premature required. God says celebration is not how the victorious feel when everything is perfect. Celebration is how the victorious respond to the verdict, regardless of what the physical circumstances still look like. When a ruling is declared in court, the winning party does not walk out in silence and wait until their life feels different before they allow themselves to smile. They receive the ruling, they embody it. Their celebration is not a denial of ongoing difficulty. It is an agreement with the decision that supersedes the difficulty. Your joy is your agreement with heaven's ruling. Think about what your nervous system has been trained to do over the years of surviving. Brace for impact, scan for danger, suppress hope before disappointment can strike. Get back up one more time, keep enduring, stay functional. You became remarkably good at surviving, stronger than most people will ever know, the kind of strong that does not announce itself, that simply continues again and again and again, past every reasonable breaking point. But survival mode is the appropriate posture for someone whose case is still being decided. Your case has been decided. John 10:10 speaks to you right now. I came that you might have life and have it abundantly. The abundant life is not reserved for heaven. It is available in the now, declared as yours by the verdict that has already been issued. Your celebration does not wait for the circumstances to catch up. Your celebration activates the circumstances. Every genuine moment of gratitude you allow yourself to feel is a crack in the architecture the enemy built around your future. Every time you laugh, really laugh, with the knowledge of what has been declared, you are dismantling what he constructed during the years he thought he was winning. Philippians 4:4 commands, rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I will say, rejoice. Always, not when it makes logical sense, not when the bank account agrees with it, always. This is not a suggestion for the spiritually elevated. This is the protocol for the vindicated. Begin practicing deliberate, intentional celebration, not because your life is perfect, but because the ruling is final. Put on the music that shifts your spirit. Speak gratitude out loud and let your own ears hear it. Let your body learn what your spirit already knows. The verdict is in, and you have won. The required celebration is evidence 3. Do not skip what comes next. The fourth evidence will help you understand something strange you have likely already experienced, and it is one of the most confirming signs that the verdict is real. The fourth evidence is the powerlessness of your past. God says they will come back. The ones who hurt you, the ones who betrayed you, the ones who walked away in your worst season and reappeared once it appeared you were recovering. They will return with apologies wrapped around offers, with nostalgic familiarity disguising manipulation, with old access codes they no longer have permission to use. And when they come, you will notice something remarkable. The words that once cut through you like glass now land with no real force. The manipulation patterns that once controlled you now seem transparent, almost pathetic in their predictability. The fear they once inspired in you now feels distant, like trying to remember the details of a nightmare in the afternoon light. That is not numbness. That is not emotional damage. That is vindication. The verdict has permanently revoked their jurisdiction over your life. They are attempting to access a system whose passwords were changed at the moment the gavel fell. They may show up at the door, but the door belongs to a different resident now. You may have already experienced this. Someone from your past reached out, and instead of the old reaction, the anxiety, the compulsive need to respond or fix or engage, you felt something closer to peace. A strange, clean detachment, an inner stillness that surprised you. Heaven was not surprised. That was the verdict in action. John 8:36 declares, "If the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed, not partially, not temporarily, not provisionally. Free indeed, completely, permanently, irreversibly free. The ghosts may appear, but they cannot grip you. They may whisper, but they cannot wound you. They may attempt the old tactics, but they will find nothing left for those tactics to work on. The powerless ghosts are evidence 4. Stay until the end. The fifth evidence is about the world around you beginning to physically rearrange to match what has been declared. The fifth evidence is the new reality taking shape around you. God says the verdict has been declared, reality must conform. The blueprint of the life that matches this ruling has been approved, and construction has begun in the invisible realm first, and then breaking through into what you can see and touch and experience. You are going to begin noticing it in ways that seem small at first. A door that has been sealed for years quietly opens. An opportunity surfaces with no logical origin. A connection appears that you could not have manufactured on your own. A resource arrives through a channel you did not see coming. Do not dismiss these moments as luck. Do not explain them away with circumstance. Recognize them for what they are, implementation proceedings. Heaven's court has ruled and earth is being legally required to comply. Isaiah 43:19 activates over what is coming for you. See, I am doing a new thing, now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? New things are springing up, not eventually. Now, the question is not whether it is happening. The question is whether you have the eyes to perceive it. Think about what it means for a woman named Naomi, who returned to Bethlehem with nothing. No husband, no sons, no resources, no future she could see. She told people to call her Mara, meaning bitter. Because the Lord had dealt bitterly with her, she believed the story was over. But Ruth, faithful, steadfast Ruth, went out to glean in the fields, and the field she happened to enter belonged to Boaz, and Boaz happened to be a kinsman redeemer. And from that single, seemingly random moment in a field, a dynasty was born. The lineage of David, the lineage of Christ. What looks like a random open door in your immediate future is not random at all. The blueprint has been approved. Construction has been authorized. What you perceive as coincidence is verdict implementation. The rising blueprint is evidence 5. Hold on, the sixth evidence is about to challenge the container of your thinking entirely. The sixth evidence is the overflow being released in your direction. Not enough, more than enough. God says, for years, your container was shaped by scarcity. Narrow, rigid, trained for survival. Make it last. Ration the good. Brace for the lack. Do not expect too much. Prepare yourself for disappointment so it does not destroy you. That was the appropriate posture for a season of waiting. That season is ending. The verdict has released abundance that your current mindset may struggle to accommodate. Not because the blessing is uncertain, but because the container of your expectations was built for a different verdict. You are going to need to expand financially, yes. But that is only one dimension of what is coming. Opportunities that were previously inaccessible will begin to reach for you rather than requiring you to chase them. Relationships that feel like oxygen to your soul, the kind of connection that costs you nothing to maintain because it is natural and mutual and life-giving, will arrive and remain. Creativity that kept you awake in the best possible way, the kind of inspiration that makes you forget to eat, health that renews, joy that refuses to stay quiet. The overflow is coming, and it will come in the presence of the very people who doubted you. Psalm 23:5 speaks directly to your moment. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows, not half full, not barely adequate, overflowing, in front of the witnesses who predicted your loss. Scarcity thinking belongs to those whose verdict went against them. Your verdict went in your favor. Abundance is not something you are hoping for. It is the legal consequence of the ruling that has already been issued. Begin to think like the winner you have been declared, not with arrogance, with quiet, settled certainty. Stop bracing. Stop rationing expectation. Open your hands. Expand your thinking. Make room for what is on its way. The overwhelming abundance is evidence 6. Stay. The seventh evidence is the one that changes everything. Permanently, the seventh evidence is the irreversible nature of your victory. This is not a season of winning. This is a permanent installation. God says, I have not simply ruled in your favor in a case that can be appealed. I have crowned you, and crowns in my kingdom are not borrowed, they are bestowed. They are not awarded for a performance. They are conferred by identity. From this moment forward, you are not waiting to be recognized as a winner. You are royalty. Not because of anything you did, because of what has been declared. This is not a mountaintop experience that fades into a valley. This is a new altitude that becomes your new normal. You do not visit royalty on special occasions. You are royalty in every ordinary moment. In the grocery store, in the quiet morning, in the middle of a hard conversation, in the middle of a difficult week. Royalty is not what you feel. It is what you are. 1 Peter 2:9 speaks your identity out loud. You are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession. Chosen, royal, holy, possessed by God himself, not as a burden, but as a treasure. This is not something you are becoming. This is what you have been declared. The verdict has installed this identity, and no authority in heaven, on earth, or beneath the earth can remove what has been legally bestowed. You came into this season believing that the question was still open, that your value was still being evaluated, that your future was still being deliberated. The deliberation is over. The evaluation is complete. The case is permanently closed in your favor. You are not waiting for the crown. You are already wearing it. The permanent coronation is evidence 7. Let me give you the full picture before we close. 7 evidences have been revealed. 1. Your tears became testimony. Nothing was lost. Every drop was documented. 2. Your enemies feel the shift. Their confusion is your confirmation. 3. Your celebration is required. Joy is the language of the vindicated. 4. The ghosts of your past cannot touch you. Their jurisdiction has been revoked. 5. Your new blueprint is rising. Reality is conforming to the ruling. 6. Abundance is overwhelming. Your container is being expanded. 7. Your coronation is permanent. You are royalty now and forever. The verdict is in, the gavel has fallen, and you have won. But I want to give you a warning before you close this video. In the next few days, the enemy will attempt to make you forget what you have just heard. He will not announce himself. He will not come with dramatic opposition. He will come as a whisper, quiet, reasonable, familiar. He will say the case might not really be closed. The ruling might be conditional. You should not celebrate yet. You should wait until the circumstances agree before you allow yourself to believe this. Do not receive that whisper. The verdict is final. There is no appellate court above the Ancient of Days. The accuser has been silenced in the highest courtroom that exists, and no whisper he murmurs into your earthly circumstances carries any legal standing. The ruling is sealed. Now, I want you to say this out loud. Your voice is not just sound, it is agreement. Say it, righteous judge of heaven and earth. I receive the verdict you have declared over my life. I accept that my tears became testimony. I recognize that my enemies feel a shift they cannot explain. I embrace that celebration is now my mandate. I believe that the ghosts of my past have lost their jurisdiction over me. I see that my new blueprint is rising. I expand my container for the abundance that is coming. I receive my coronation as permanent and irreversible. The case is closed. The verdict is final. I am the winner, not by my own merit, but by the blood of Jesus. Let the record of heaven show that I agree with this ruling. Let the accuser know his accusations have been permanently dismissed. I am vindicated. I am justified. I am crowned. In Jesus' name, amen. Heaven has recorded that declaration. The ruling is ratified. Your victory is sealed and eternal. Now do 3 things before you close this video. First, like this video, not for the algorithm, as your agreement. When you press that button, you are saying to heaven and to yourself, I believe what was just declared. Do it now. Second, subscribe and turn on all notifications. The revelation of how to walk in your declared victory continues in the videos coming after this one. If you are not subscribed, you will receive the verdict today and lose the roadmap tomorrow. Subscribe now before you forget. Third, type 777 in the comments below. Every other person who reads your comment is another chosen one who needed to see that they are not alone. Your 3 words could be the turning point for someone who came here, 1 click away from giving up. Type it. And then share this video with someone who is still living as though the trial is ongoing. Someone whose head is down, whose hope is thin, whose strength is nearly spent. Send them this. You came into this video believing the case was still open. You are leaving it knowing the verdict has been sealed. You are not fighting for victory. You have been declared the winner. You are not reaching for vindication. You have been justified. You are not hoping for the crown. You have been coronated. The Supreme Court of Heaven has ruled. The record is permanent. The ruling is eternal. Go live as the winner you have been declared. Walk as the royalty you have been crowned. Breathe as the victor you legally are. The gavel has fallen. The case is closed. And your victory is forever. Walk in it. Amen.